Look, I see matches in the kingdom. I see hunters slaying demons. I see fire on this earth coming down like Hiroshima. I see prophets rising up, prophesying scriptures cut. I see Christ, he coming back, and he black, he look like us. I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it, I see it.
We're not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Welcome to another edition of Precept Upon Precept. Hey, those of you who checked our rerun last week, we were off for a little while. We're back on. Thank you for being patient. We're your hosts. My name is Captain Shem.
Officer Matthew.
Officer Mikael.
Officer Micah.
So, like we do every week, Israel, hey, before QR code. So, I'm going to be a broken record. When you look at the QR code, a lot of you that are 45, 50 and older, the QR code is that black and white fuzzy thing on the lower left-hand side of the screen. And a lot of people don't know this. You take out your camera, you point it at it, a yellow box will come up, and then it will, when you click the button to shoot the picture, it will pull up a link. You click that link or scan the code, all right? So we're trying to grow our New Orleans Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and the green is Rumble. So we're past 25K. We hit our goal. We're going right to 30. So help us, help us, help us. All right. With that being said, first section up is Officer Micah with the Watchman Report. Take it away.
Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ. Bless. Good evening. I don't want to hold the show up. Let's get right to the articles. Carrying a handgun without a permit to become law in Louisiana. Like, they doing it already, so I don't know why they making it a law now. All right, next article. Montana man pleads guilty to creating massive Franken sheep with cloned animal parts. So what he was doing, he was creating these animals, and he was letting people come out and hunt them on his farm. I guess he said he got a problem with it. Now he's making too much money. Next article. Trump says there will be a bloodbath if he loses the election. This dude, hey, Trump ain't playing, man. Hey, he gangster. Next article. Famine looms in Sudan as civil war survivors tell of killings and rapes. So our people are over there, man, and they going through hell right now. So send up prayers that our people repent. Next article. Sex is back at the Olympic Village. Paris will hand out 300,000 condoms. But I tell you, boy, we are in the last days. They making it a sport now to have sex in the Olympics. Lord help us. Mom who left toddler alone in playpen while she went on vacation gets life sentence. Cleveland mama just left her kid in a playpen and went on vacation for 10. I don't know what she thought was going to happen in 10 days on vacation. But life without parole, that's what happened for her. Next article. House largest conservative caucus calls for increase in retirement age. Well, this is the land of our captivity. So not only are you going to not get your money, they're going to make sure that you die when you retire. And this concludes the Watchman Report.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Welcome to Precept Upon Precept. We're going to get right into tonight's show, y'all. You see what's going on in the news. You see what's not going on in the news because you're not going to see it if you watch mainstream American news. But there is things happening. There are things happening in NATO right now. So we're going to pull up the thumbnail, which, okay, a little different on the thumbnail. I like that. That's very serious. They fixed Officer Micah's head. Something happened earlier. So look, Officer Mikhail, explain to us what we see here.
What we have here is the president of NATO, and we have Vladimir Putin, because we have the illusion of NATO's strength, and Russia is preparing for war. So it's just the basic concept, those two entities, because that's who Russia's at war with, is NATO, which essentially is the United States, but for all intents and purposes, that's the thumbnail in a nutshell.
All praises. So tonight we're going to get, and this is the thing, because an illusion is supposed to be something that, like, for example, if you look at a, what's the animal that makes himself, that puffs himself up?
The puffer fish.
There's a puffer fish that in the water he looks, then when an enemy comes, he puffs himself up, but he's really not that fierce. NATO has puffed themselves up. They made some major moves lately, and you would think to the common eye that Russia is done for, right? So tonight we're going to see about that. Let's pull up the first article, which is about NATO. Many times you hear people say, NATO, NATO, NATO. They don't even know what it means. So we're going to review NATO, and we're going to review the countries that are in NATO. Okay, there's a map. You gonna be able to, okay, let's read that.
NATO countries 2024.
Are they going to be able to see it? Okay, there we go. Beautiful. Okay.
The North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
So I want to preface this, because a lot of times people will think, I hear people say the North American. It's the North Atlantic, because when you look at the equator, the north of the equator is the North Atlantic. That's why you have the United States, you have Canada. It's actually the northern part in Europe and all the countries that border. And that's why it's strange how when you look at Ukraine is nowhere near the North Atlantic Ocean. So even in the whole definition of NATO, they're kind of veering off from what their own definition is. So read on.
Alternatively known as NATO, is a military alliance between countries in North America and Europe. NATO was formed in the aftermath of World War II.
So post 1945, when Germany was toppled by America, England, and even Russia was in on the other end. Read on.
To preserve peace in Europe.
Right, because Hitler wanted everybody in the world to be a German and speak German. Read on.
And protect democratic nations from potential attacks by the Soviet Union.
Right.
Which exists today as the Russian Federation.
And we went over show after show that the Soviet Union was dissolved in 1990, and parts of the Eastern Europe then became separate countries, all right? And we're going to get into that tonight, because there was a big part of tonight's change is in the Baltic region. Pardon me. Damn. The Baltic Sea region. Read on.
NATO's website states that NATO's founding treaty commits the allies to democracy, individual liberty, and the rule of law, as well as a peaceful resolution of disputes.
Right, and here's the thing. This is later on. This is why Trump is so heated, because NATO is being run by the people that live across the ocean that pay about 90% of the bills. And this is what's going to make the 10 horns we talked about is going to hate the whore. And we're seeing that right now. Okay, read on.
Importantly, the treaty sets out the idea of collective defense, meaning that an attack against one ally is considered an attack against all allies.
So I believe it's called Article 5. If they invoke Article 5, let's say, for example, if you look at the list, it says current NATO countries. There's 16 countries in alphabetical order from Albania all the way down to the United States is the last one. So as you can see, Albania was 2009. Let's see the asterisk. You see the 49. The first countries were in the asterisk, which are Belgium, which is Canada. I didn't know that. Which is Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, and then the U.S. and Portugal. Yes, Portugal. So these are the first, And ever since then, NATO has grown from the asterisk countries all the way until the last 2 years when Finland and Sweden joined. So why is this important? Because the whole beef with Russia is after 91, they kept pushing east towards the Soviet. And Putin's like, look, I told you before, stop pushing. And then that was the thing with Kazakhstan. When the people started uprising, they sent the Russian army in and destroyed that. And he said, if you go into the Ukraine, we're going to, because the Ukraine is very close to Moscow, which is the capital city. So long story short, pull it back up real quick. We're almost done with that. What am I looking at? All right, scroll down real. Here we go. Scroll down. 12 founding members. Right there.
The 12 founding members, the member countries of NATO are Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France.
So we just read that. Go down. I'm sorry. Go down to, keep going.
Hey, Cap, look at future NATO members.
Yes, read that.
Future NATO members. There currently exist 3 countries that are not yet NATO members, but have formally informed NATO that they wish to be.
Right.
Bosnia and Herzegovina.
And by the way, 15 years ago, half these countries they create new names all the time. And then there's the key right there. The Ukraine. The Ukraine. All right, remember Ukraine, because today we're going to find out, we're going to hear some, the U.S. is the damn devil. Read on.
Georgia, Ukraine. The process of membership takes time, requiring applicants to prove they can meet certain political, economic.
Stop. The reason why they hate Trump is because I'm not pro-Trump, by the way, because Trump is a businessman for America. He loves the American white man. He loves America. We're going to make it great again. We're going to stop the BS. He is saying, wait a minute, how are we, which have less interest in securing NATO's European presence, and we pay 9/10 of the bill? Trump is he's not even the president of the United States, and these people are shook, and he's not even back in office yet. So the economic and political, what did it say, read on?
And military criteria.
Right.
And enacting reforms if they cannot, and are willing to accede to the North Atlantic Treaty and future requiring the governments of every existing NATO member to formally approve the application.
So all of them have to approve. If a country says we object, they have to bring forth their strong reason, and they have to do something where if you attack Hungary, if you attack, say, whatever, Iceland, all of them agree to commit to come to that country's defense. This is what's so important. They're the military arm of the 10 horns, just so we're clear.
Hey, Cap, that's literally the mark of the beast. Literally. Read it again. They require applicants.
The process of memberships takes time, requiring applicants to prove they can meet certain political.
They have to prove that they can meet certain political,
economic,
and
military criteria.
Isn't that the same 3 frogs from Revelation? You have to accept those things,
Right.
and then read it on.
And enacting reform if they cannot.
Meaning they gotta reform to whatever the North Atlantic Treaty Organization says. Read.
And are willing to accede to
that word right there. That poked out to me. Accede means you gotta accept what they have. You have to accept everything that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization says, and then you can be approved. So you have to accept the mark of the beast. Then you can be our friend, and then your enemies are now our enemies.
Right. And for example, remember when the president of France did a deal with China and traded with the yen? All that stopped real quick. Why? Because that goes against the interests of NATO. So you have to play by that rules. That's a perfect example. Political, economic, and military. militarily. All right. We're almost done. Read on.
To the North Atlantic Treaty, and further requiring the governments of every existing NATO member to formally approve the application.
Right. Scroll down. I'm looking for Article 5. I want those of you who don't know about, and please check this out on your own. You can see we're about to get into a couple. Well, Article 5 is what is enacted if one, say Germany gets attacked, France gets attacked, all of them come together in a joint NATO operation. That's why they train. We're going to get into later on. They actually train together in massive military operations or practice sessions. All right. Go to number 2. Number 2 should be right in order. I think Gabe did it right in order. And y'all got the maps I asked for? I asked for the map about 12 o'clock. All right, so this is number 2. All right, this is a video. I believe it's a short, or I have it timestamped. Let me pull it up. Okay. This is about, I believe, Finland. Okay. So the second most recent country that has joined was after Russia invaded the Ukraine. Finland and Sweden applied for the process to get into NATO. This is Finland that took place about a year ago in 2023. Let's watch Finland. And I want a map of Finland. Like, Gabe, I thought you had that already. Play.
Is now officially a member of the world's largest military alliance.
This is an historic day. We welcome Finland as the newest member of our alliance.
The Nordic nation
And
completed
that's actually almost exactly a year ago, because today is the 21st. That was April 4th of 2023. Why is Finland so important? Well, you're going to find out in a minute. It's based upon its geography and also its history. Okay? Play on.
fastest accession processes in NATO's history. Finland applied to join in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. In the process, Finland ended its decades-old policy of military non-alignment.
It will change Russia's posture towards Europe and NATO in general in the future.
Here's what the historic expansion means for the alliance and security in Europe. First of all, Finland adds more than 800 miles
Okay,
to
so
NATO.
we don't even need a map, Gabe. We're good with this. So if you look, why is Finland so important? Finland literally shares a border that's almost a little less than 1,000 miles, and part of its border goes almost into the Arctic, the bottom of the Arctic Circle. Look at how long that border is. You can't scroll down, can you? All right, play on.
Border with Russia. It also extends the area in which NATO can conduct its operations. The territory spans about 1,000 miles from the Baltic Sea to the Arctic.
Finland joining NATO also means that the NATO alliance comes closer to the Kola Peninsula, which has great strategic importance for Russia. It's where many of its nuclear capabilities are based.
And Finland doesn't come empty-handed.
So I think we need to talk about this for a second. If you were to compare that, right? If you look at the United States Navy has major submarine bases in a place called Groton, Connecticut, Norfolk, Virginia. They have major naval bases. That's like Russia having a base, let's say, for example, in North Carolina, or Russia having a base, say, in New York, which is not too far from Connecticut. This is now by Norway being part of NATO, they're part of America. Guess what they just did? They just raised Russia's eyebrow. Oh, you part of them now. Now Finland, that border, which was not fortified, Russia has to protect their nuclear submarine capacity, and that's something that we're going to see later on. You say
That
so?
sounds familiar, Cap. Sounds like the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's exactly what it sounds. And later on, they're going to tell you that because play on. I'm jumping ahead.
Europe's best defended and best armed countries.
Finland has maintained a posture against Russia where it was ready for a conflict. It can mobilize over 800,000 troops, and it's also continued to modernize
So
its
Finland,
military.
for that size, 800. Don't put it on me. Don't put it on me. 800,000, almost 1 million troops. That's a big military. And again, they were neutral before, and before 20, they were neutral. They did not take the West's position. They did not take Russia's position, although they did train with NATO, right? But this is very important. All right, I'm going to show you why once we find out the next country. Read on, play on.
The surface-to-air missiles, rocket systems, and it's even received the F-35s from the US.
The Kremlin's decision to invade Ukraine radically changed Finnish public opinion on the country's non-aligned defense doctrine. In May 2022, support for NATO membership leapt to 76%, a fundamental shift from 30% in January that year, just before the invasion. And for Russian President Vladimir Putin, Finland's secession is a major strategic setback.
There is definitely a sort of a paradox in this, in these developments, given that we know that Vladimir Putin wants to divide NATO and the Western alliance, but what he's actually facing now is a more united Western front than ever.
President Putin wanted to slam NATO's door shut. Today, we show the world that he failed.
Russia said NATO's enlargement is a threat to its security and national interests.
So pull up the map now of Finland. So remember we showed you that there is the peninsula. Well, if we look, can you get me one that, I want to see the top. There we go. If we look at that dotted line that says the Arctic Circle, and you can see you've got Finland, which is an 835-mile border. But to the right of Finland, there's that little, the map you had was good, bro. What's wrong with that map? That was you. At least leave it there. Leave it there, all right? So if you look next to Finland, you have where it says the White Sea. There's that little, that cross, yeah, there you go. Go up a little bit, Gabe. It looks like a finger that sticks out, right? That is the area near the White Sea. That's where they keep a lot of their nuclear submarine capacity. So now Finland is right there, and they have U.S. fighters. They have 830,000 troops in Finland. Before, they were not really a major concern. Now Russia has to secure that border now. That's what Putin is going to go into tonight. So if you look at that that big body of water, where that is Sweden and Finland, it's called the Baltic Sea. Circle the Baltic Sea. This is an extremely important waterway. That's where a lot of Russia's patrols that they had their navy has been patrolling there. And so now Norway was already part of, look at Norway. I'm just giving a quick geography. Norway was already part. Finland is now in 2023. Now we're going to get to the next, because if you look at the tallest country, which is Sweden, and they just came a part of NATO this last month. So hence the title, The Illusion of NATO's Strength. You would surely look at the map and say, well, it's over for Russia, right? Well, pull up the next one with Sweden. Pull up the next one.
I mean, militarily, they're really trying to surround Russia, and they're acting like Russia doesn't see it. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't turn a blind eye to something as obvious as that. Like you already encroached on Ukraine, which was once Russia, because the people in Ukraine speak Russian. It was all one. It was all one at one point, and now you got a situation where you done took over that basically, and now you're just coercing them into joining NATO.
Right, and when you think about number 3, actually the whole video, it's going to give us some understanding. Pull up the map first.
We got it.
Okay, and so let's take a look at Sweden. So Sweden, Many of us have heard of Stockholm. It's a world famous city, kind of like Toronto, Canada. Where is Russia? Okay, there's a Russian city. I think it's called St. Petersburg. It's a huge city in the Gulf of Finland, and I don't think we can see it. It's okay. But it should be right above Estonia, and there's Russia right there. No, that's Finland, but anyways.
It's more east, but the map isn't covering it.
Right. See if you can pull up yeah, try to pull up. I wanted to see one thing real quick because y'all need to see why Russia is. Let me see. Okay. There we go. Can you see? I'm looking for the city. All right, I'm not going to hold it up. So that little area that's carved out right below Finland, that little nook right there, I believe it's called St. Petersburg, and it is a major port city in Russia. And then if you go above next to Finland, where that finger kind of sticks out, that's where they keep a lot of their nuclear submarines. So these are major areas that must be protected. Furthermore, can you pull up a map of Western Russia? Western Russia. Western Russia. I'm not going to move. I want you all to see this because this region, the Baltic Sea, is very important. And this should be talked about in the nightly news. No one's talking about Sweden with NATO. No one's talking about what we're about to get into, the largest joint military NATO exercise since the last one that was last year, as a matter of fact. But this one is the biggest one since the Cold War, and it's happening right now. All right, can you get it? Okay. Go play number 3. Can you play 3 while you look? Play 3. This is about. Sorry for the delay, y'all. Play 3.
Främsta förband för strid och spaning på djupet.
Sweden applied for NATO membership 3 months after Russia invaded Ukraine. After lots of political haggling, mainly involving Turkey, it's finally gained entry to the alliance. It brings a huge amount, an advanced military, a key geographical position that would allow NATO forces to quickly reinforce Norway.
Pause. I want you to take your cursor, if you can, and you see where, right below Finland, I want you to, this is the point. This right here, I want you to circle this right here with your pointer. This is extremely important because before Finland was neutral and before Sweden was neutral, they could move in that whole area from that point that Gabe just circled out. I think that's St. Petersburg. Now NATO has a stronghold with Finland and all the Baltic, they call them the finger countries. They're all NATO now, which means America has charge over those. So why is this such important? Now Putin is on the defensive. I'm moving these things in order because the third world nuclear bombs are inevitable. And even the texts and all of the strategists are saying Putin's he's gonna use what he's got to use. Okay. I'm sorry for the delay, y'all, but this is important. I want you to look at the city. Okay. That's it. Okay. Oh, God, it's not your fault. It's the map. Oh, gosh. Okay. So whenever you look at whenever you see something that has a black circle, that means it's a regular city. When you see a black circle with another circle around it, that's a major city. And when you see the star, which is Moscow, that's the capital city. St. Petersburg is a major city with which, if you look at it, it literally is surrounded by water and you can get right into the Baltic Sea. It is such an important position for Russia. Now, look at the Ukraine to your 9. Look at your 9. Now, Moscow is literally, look how close it is to the Ukraine. So now when you've got Finland that's one of the, St. Petersburg can be argued is more important of a city than Moscow because of what you can do with the port. Not only can you get from St. Petersburg to the Baltic, you can get up to the White Sea as well, where you see in the Arctic Circle area. So Russia is being backed into a corner. And when you back someone into a corner that has more nuclear weapons than the United States, you are asking for a problem. And NATO is not ready for a war with Russia, all right? So I want you just all us to look at that, to look at the Baltic Sea, look at that city, look at what's happened. Finland last year in April, now Sweden this month. So you got to see what's going on. This should be talked about everywhere. They might have mentioned it a couple of times on the local Caucasian networks. This is, along with what they're doing in another country, should be talked about everywhere. You know?
They figured Beyonce's country album was more important than this.
Right. Right. And that's what we're talking about over there. And remember, when you look at the route, I believe it went from St. Petersburg area, right, through the Baltic to Germany. That was the Nord Stream pipeline, which was the lifeblood, literally, the oil blood that connected Russia, cheap commodity, to the whole country of Europe, Germany being the center. That was destroyed. Okay, back now. I'm going to speed it up. Back to enough of the history geography lesson. Back to, what are we doing? Okay, I can't see because of the damn camera. Okay, perfect. So there's St. Petersburg. There's the pipeline. That's where Esau Smoking Joe blew it. He said that went into Germany. All of that's been destroyed. Now you have Finland, that's NATO. Sweden's NATO. Estonia, Latvia, they're all NATO. Belarus is neutral. Ukraine is the issue that they're fighting over. And Poland is also part of NATO. So is in Germany. So you would think that the U.S. and NATO are going to overcome and take it out. We'll see. Go to Sweden again. The video. All right. We got to catch the flow back. Go back to the video.
And a highly developed defence industry, a major asset as NATO tries to rearm. So what about Sweden's military? What has it got? Well, first thing to say is it's comparatively small, with just under 15,000 regulars. That's supplemented
real quick.
by around 11.5.
Remember, Finland had 800,000 in their military. And part of the reason why is because they did fear conflict with Russia, so they had to have a bigger military. Sweden has a much comparatively smaller military, but there's something that they do that makes them very powerful. Play on.
Reservists. It does have conscription, reintroduced in 2018, but it's small and selective, with only around 4,000 men and women called up. Sweden's army has just under 7,000 troops, but for such a small force, it's well equipped. It has 110 Leopard 2 main battle tanks, 319 CV-90 infantry fighting vehicles, and 26 Archer self-propelled howitzers. These are the Swedish-designed rapid-fire artillery systems that the British Army is also buying. They can engage a target, fire and drive away in less than 20 seconds. Next up, Sweden's Navy. It's regarded as small but very capable, bigger than every other navy in the Baltic except Germany's. It tends to operate exclusively in the Baltic Sea and along the country's west coast.
So,
in terms of
the military advantage that they have is that Finland and Sweden, they're used to training in the Baltic. They have that whole area, their local training exercises. And what he's going to say next is they produce a lot of weapons and sell weapons. They are a force for production of weapons, and that's what they're going to need if they have a war with Russia. Play on.
Around 2,300, half as sailors, half amphibious forces. Vessel-wise, Sweden has, amongst other things, 4 submarines, 5 corvettes and 7 mine warfare ships. Sweden's Gotland submarines have a unique engine that uses the power generated by expanding and contracting gases to drive the subsystems. It makes them particularly quiet and means they don't have to surface for weeks. Finally, Sweden will also bring its impressive air force to the North Atlantic Alliance. It includes 2,700 Air Force personnel and 6 squadrons of Gripen multi-role fighter jets, produced by the Swedish company Saab.
That's the point I want to get. So there's a Swedish company that produces a lot of jets, ammunitions, and other things that they ship out to other European countries. So now the key with Sweden is they have a small military, but they can mass produce weapons for the rest of the NATO countries. And that's the asset that NATO now has. So you would think, right? Okay, next video. We're going to roll right on. Next video.
Yes, Saab, they do make cars. You'll see them rolling all throughout the U.S. So they make cars too.
Yep.
So Sweden continued. Let's take a look. It's a short video, and we're going to speed up just a little bit.
Their flag official now. Sweden and NATO, that is. Earlier this month, at a ceremony filled with the requisite pomp and circumstance, Sweden's flag joined those
that guy there was the head of NATO. Of Smikkel had him on the thumbnail, I believe. Play on.
Joined those of 31 other nations as their membership into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization became officially official. One of the first questions asked of Sweden's prime minister was about Russia and their previous threats about taking action if Sweden joined NATO.
Concerning Russia, I think we should stay alert. Stay exactly as alert as we are. They are doing all the things you mentioned.
All right, don't worry about it. Just showing you that it's official. The Swedish flag had the NATO flag. And now, that Finland and Sweden, now we understand the geography. Now let's get to the part that is, go to number 5. Number 5. I time marked it for you. Why is it such a... Because something is going on. What is NATO planning? A lot of us have probably never heard about this.
Russia preparing for a war of the century. Just have a look at what's going on. The NATO is strengthening its eastern flank, fearing that Russia might invade its member states. And to address this concern, the US-led military bloc is constructing its largest base in Europe.
Stop.
That's right.
Rewind it just a little bit. Because when I watch the news, I have to go back, rewind stuff. What she's saying is something that is such a major thing. I don't understand how everybody in all the United States newspapers, I don't understand how this is not being talked about. NATO is getting ready to construct the largest base, $2.7 billion in a country called Romania. That's the one that keeps messing with Andrew Tate, right? Romania. None of our listeners probably heard about this. This is, rewind it, listen to what she says.
Russia might invade its member states. And to address this concern, the US-led military bloc is constructing its largest base in Europe. That's right, in Romania. With Ukraine at the north, the Black Sea to the southeast, Serbia to the south.
Pull up a map. It says it said Ukraine at the north, the Black Sea at the south. Why? Esau's not stupid. He knows exactly what he's doing. I can't see a damn thing. Okay, there's your Black Sea. Look at Romania's 9 o'clock. Ukraine's up the top. There's the Black Sea. Look at their position. So they got the Black Sea. They can use that to get to Russia. Ukraine is the area that they're trying to get annexed into that, and that's where the base is going. Down there at the center of Europe. Look where they're putting a huge military base right there in the center. This is the preparation for World War III, y'all. We better start paying attention. Okay, go back and play the rest of that. Let me sit up.
Hungary to the west. Romania does not share a border with Russia, but fears of Russian aggression have reached an all-time high. The $2.7 billion project plans to expand the Romanian Air Force 57th Air Base. It is located close to the Black Sea port city of Constanta. Once finished, the new base will have a perimeter of almost 20 miles, covering around 11 square miles. It will have hangars, fuel stores, ammunition, new runways, weapon platforms, accommodation, basically everything that is needed to support the operation and the missions of NATO. It is designed to permanently host up to 10,000 NATO soldiers and their families. And for them,
anytime you're moving families on there, that means you're in it for the long haul. They're going to have schools there. They're going to have churches there. They're going to have BAH, basic housing. What is it, BAH, whatever y'all call it?
Basic allowance for housing.
They're going to have all of that, and 10,000 are going to reside there. There's going to be a lot more. Just because you have 10,000 places where people can permanently live, there's also going to be training there as well. They're expanding the airports. They're $2.7 billion. They're doing that right now. They're creating a base at a strategic geographic position to fight Russia. Why is this not being talked about, Joe? It should be being talked about, and it's not.
That's called a permanent duty station. That's what it is. And they're going to train there, and they're going to live there. And they're going to rotate soldiers as needed.
And it won't just be, it'll be American troops. It'll be all 32 of those nations. There's 32 NATO nations. We saw columns of 16 and 16. All those militaries be a central point, plus the fact that all the other countries like Poland, Germany, they can use all of their bases as well. Their airfields, their training facilities as well. That's going to be their headquarters, if you will. And it's in a perfect position geographically. You think Putin doesn't know what the hell is going on? They know exactly what's going on. So this is very important. So I said to myself, wait a minute. I'm not just going to believe an East Indian news reporter. So how to look it up? Go to the next article.
Hey, Cap, if Romania is the base of operations, the United States will be there.
Facts.
100%.
Big facts. So look, I know we're going to break soon. Pull up the article. It's called Romania to Host Largest NATO Base. So, and you can research it for yourself. It is really going down. Okay.
Romania to host largest NATO military base in Europe. Work has begun.
Oh, by the way, the date on this is today. About a little less than 10, 12 hours ago. This is hot off the press. Okay? Read.
Work has begun on expanding the MK base in Romania, transforming it into the largest NATO military base in Europe.
So do you understand that Germany is the fourth largest economy? I know a lot of our brothers, I think some of us in here have been to Germany. Mike, you've probably been to Germany a couple of times.
I've been over there.
My brother was stationed at the French Commander Unit in Frankfurt, Germany. They have huge military bases in Germany. This military base is going to be larger than every single military base in NATO that NATO has access to. And they're building. Go ahead, Micah.
Those are Apache gunships. That's a U.S. howitzer. That's U.S. right there.
That's 101.
101st Airborne Division. Yeah, I know them all too well.
So you've got the 101 setting things up, which is an elite airborne, right? Yeah. Airborne Ranger. I love them cadences. That's happening now. They're building a city that can house 10,000 residents and their families. This is today's news. Okay, read on.
The military base at MK Consta, southeast Romania on the Black Sea coast, will become the largest NATO military base in Europe and will surpass the U.S. military base in Ramstein, Germany in size.
So the biggest base in Europe is in Ramstein, Germany, which is a friggin' huge base. Ruben's shaking your head. You've probably been there, haven't you? It is a huge base. This base is going to surpass that, and it's not even built yet. The Most High is showing us right now in 2024, This is the end of the world as we know it. This is popping off right now. Putin has no choice. He's going to have to use these bombs. He has to defend the 835-mile border with Finland, right? Now Sweden is a target. He can't move his nuclear subs like he used to in the Baltic. I'm telling you, St. Petersburg, he had the Nord Stream pipeline. They destroyed that. This is the Mossad moving all the hearts of men right now. And if you look carnally, you'll say, man, Russia's done. They got no. Okay, read on. We almost done before break.
The new base will give Romania an increased role in NATO's security architecture and a position of greater strength in the Black Sea, which is militarily dominated by Russia. It will be able to host 10,000 soldiers and civilians by 2030.
So it's already beginning of, in 6 years, they're going to have that done, basically is what they're saying. Jump where it says expansion works.
Expansion works will cost $2.7 billion US, and work on access roads and high-capacity electrical network has already started.
Okay, you about to say something, man.
I was stationed in a base with Romanian soldiers.
Right, I remember you saying that.
They will, because Romanians have better weapons than we do. They will be established. If they put that timeline there, they're like it just said. It said the access roads and the electrical work has already started. They already started the infrastructure.
Right.
Once that's done, they solidified. Like they plan on putting 10,000 soldiers and civilians. That means KBR is going to be there. That means that all military is going to be there. They're going to have coalition forces. They're going to be training together. All of that stuff. They setting up some stuff.
They gonna move a lot of them soldiers from Germany over there. It makes too much sense. It's too close. They're not gonna ship a lot of them from the U.S. It's faster to get equipment from Germany, pull them from those motor pools, and send it right over there to Romania.
That's a small city. 10,000 people. That's a small city.
It actually says that in the with the East Indian lady. She said it's the size of a city. Playing with a social housing, read on.
Social housing will be built for individual personnel or families. There will be block-type housing, individual housing, nurseries, kindergartens, schools, pharmacies, everything that is needed. The commander of MK, Nicole Kreutz, said, covering an area of almost 3,000 hectares, the base will be the largest in Europe. Ramstein in Germany covers about 2,000 hectares.
To put it in perspective, that means it's 30 per. Well, no, if Germany's base is 2,000, it's 1,000. Is it? I don't know how to pronounce it, hectares larger. So it's about damn near 50% larger than Germany's biggest base, which presently is the largest base. Okay, we're gonna go down where it says in recent years, and then we're gonna move on.
In recent years, Romania has invested massively in defense. For 2024, the Army will have a budget of over 20 billion euros, 45% higher than in 2023. The money is intended primarily for the purchase of modern weaponry.
So they are going to build this huge base, which is 50% larger than the largest base in Europe, and they have a huge weapon budget because they are ready for World War III. That's what's going on. So I wanted y'all can read the rest on your own. Why is this not over everywhere? Oh, you got a map. Okay. All right. Obviously, it's not built yet, y'all. I think it's gonna be bigger than that. I think it's gonna be a lot bigger than that. But anyway, so this is probably the existing base because it is an existing base in Romania. But they are going to blow this thing up, and it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Before we go to break, I want to show you one more thing. What is the next thing I had up for you? Number 7 already? Okay,
Put that in perspective, though, Cap, about how they building this base. My dad was in the military, so I've been on bases before. The Naval Air Station in Belle Chase is basically a city within a city in Belle Chase. They have housing, they got schools, they got grocery stores, gas stations. This is what they're doing over there. They're building a city just for military personnel, strategic.
And for our people over here in America who don't understand I think the distance, the howitzer that they showed, the maximum effective range that, just to give you a perspective, is 68 miles. That big gun you saw in that picture is 68 miles firing range. So they need range to land those rounds. It's not just gonna fall like right next to that weapon system.
You got to see. Hey, so how far are we close to the break? It's break time. Listen, when we come back, we're going to talk more about Russia. We haven't talked too much about Russia and what Russia is doing and how they are planning. So stick around with us, y'all. A little bit slow on the first part of the show. Keep in mind the Baltic region. It appears that NATO is super strong. They got Finland, they got Sweden, and guess what? There's a lot more to the story. So stick around. Officer Mikael is coming up with the Bible verses.
To bring it out, they don't like that. No cap, we ain't lying, we ain't fly, yeah. A roaring lion crouching down, they don't like that. The tribe of Judah, watch us do this, we gon' fight back. Yeah, your pastor know we lying.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High Christ blessed. It's your brother, Officer Mikael, and this is the Bible versus lesbianism. Go ahead, hit the video. Let's see what we're dealing with.
Nephews, like,
you got my blood running through you and your daddy blood. How you gonna have somebody else's child out here?
So I'm supposed to be with somebody that I don't love so you could be happy.
You damn right. You damn
well,
right.
How does that work?
It works just fine for me. Okay?
So she wants to put me out of her house.
Yes, you gonna get the step if you don't get you a man come up in here and create me a baby.
So then what am I supposed to do, Mom? You want me to out the house because of who I'm dating?
Yes, I do.
And then what am I supposed to do for
you? Do what you want to do when you out my house, but long as you in my house, you gonna have a decent relationship.
But the thing
this
is,
come
Mom,
from the old school, baby. The old school. What I'm talking about is a man and a woman procreate and they have babies. Not a woman and a woman, okay? Y'all can't have babies together. Don't you understand?
But she is a better partner than I've ever had in my entire life. But I'm supposed to be with somebody that I don't want. But
not by my
She has treated me the best that I've ever had in my whole life, Mom. But you want me to go and settle and be with somebody that I don't love. That's what you prefer.
Guess what? You gotta grow to love people. Okay? You gotta get to know the person. Okay. All right? You didn't even get no man no chance.
All right.
How you supposed to love a man? You ain't even let a man in your life. You just saw this woman supposed to give you everything. No, ma'am. Not in this house. Not under my roof. No, ma'am. Try again.
So can I ask you a question?
Ask me. I'm going to tell you.
Are you happy?
I'm wonderfully happy. Me and your daddy been married for 23 years.
It's been good all 23 years?
All 23. We have our ups and downs, and you know that. Okay. But you here. You here. Okay. Ain't ya? Yes, you are. So I need you to do this. I need you to find you a decent husband, and I need you to bring him up in my house. You can let that go, Mom, because I'm not having a husband. So I can have some children, some grandchildren.
Hey, before I get into it, round of applause to Mama. Stand on that business, Mama. These children out here done lost their mind. Hey, y'all know what I want already. Give me Leviticus 18 and 22. Let's see if the Bible back Mama up. Leviticus 18:22. Let's go.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
It's an abomination, and you parents should not be allowing that in your house. If your children out here running behind a man running behind another man or a woman running behind a woman, you have failed as a parent. And Mama is at least trying to correct the situation. But, these children nowadays, they're hard-headed, stubborn, and rebellious. What do we do with hard-headed, stubborn, and rebellious children? We stone them if we was under the law of Moses. If we was under the law of Moses, we would stone them. So the best thing she could do is put that evil out of her house, and that's what she was doing. It's something else Mama said. Mama said she got to learn how to love somebody. Give me Titus 2. Let's see what Mama was doing. If what she was talking about is biblical, or did Mama just pull it out the air somewhere?
The book of Titus 2 and verse 3.
Yes, sir.
The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not giving them much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands.
To do what?
To love their husbands.
To do what?
To love their husbands.
To love their husbands. You young women have to be taught that. This is about, this supposed to be the best person. That you got to learn how to love somebody, like Mama said. You got to get to know the person. You got to get to know him. You ain't gave a man a chance. How you know what the man gonna do? Keep reading.
To love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed.
That the word of God be not blasphemed. And Mama was standing on business and ain't going down in her house. Get your behind out. Last scripture, give me Romans chapter 1, verse 25. Let's see if this is natural for her to want to be with another woman. Let's see.
The book of Romans chapter 1, verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
Read.
For this cause, God gave them up to vile affections.
God gave them up to a vile affection. Read.
For even the women did change the natural use into which is against nature.
It said even the woman who did change their natural use. What's the natural use of a woman? To lead the house, to have children. Read.
And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another. Men with men, working that which is unseemly.
It is unseemly. It's not natural. So Mama was standing on business, and she was against lesbianism, just like the Bible is against lesbianism. Hey, look, I'm your brother, Officer Mikael, and this has been the Bible versus lesbianism. Y'all stay tuned.
The streets to bring it out, they don't like that. No doubt, we ain't lying, we ain't fly, yeah. A roaring lion crouching down, they don't like that. The driver Judah, watch us do this, we gon' fight back. Yeah, your pastor know we lying, talking about he know the scriptures like a...
Hey, look, Israel, while y'all watching the show, while it's hot and fresh on your mind, go ahead, hit the QR code. Let us know how we doing. Let the IT team know how they doing. Scan the QR code. It takes, we got 5 easy questions to answer. Go ahead, answer them. Look, we're going to leave the time up there for you. We're going to leave the QR code up there for you for a little bit. Go ahead, scan it now. Let us know. Give us the feedback, Israel. Hey, look, this is y'all's show. This is y'all show, and the way we get better is by y'all feedback.
Hey, shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. My name is Captain Shem, IUIC New Orleans. Help us to grow. YouTube page, subscribe, like, share, hit the bell notification. And now it's even easier, y'all.
Hey, and also part of New Orleans Camp, we got the community cleanups. Cleaning up our neighborhood one at a time.
What y'all waiting for? Subscribe.
What are you waiting for? Subscribe! Have a good vibe. There's so much wrong going on in the world, but somehow we keep it all smile.
Subscribe and follow us on all social media accounts. We got TikTok, we got Twitter, we got Rumble, and YouTube. Make sure y'all follow IUIC New Orleans. Shalom.
Hey, also, we got flyer missions every day and also camp videos. Check us out, IUIC New Orleans.
So remember, go to our YouTube page, subscribe, like, share, and don't forget the QR code. When the QR code comes out, don't forget to take your phone out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why isn't it done? Shalom, Israel.
Can't I get just to have a good time? That's what we say. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Go all in.
You can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in.
for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in. Going in, going all in. Going all in. I'm going in, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the king. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the king. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the king.
Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. It's your man, Officer Matt, with another original royalty exclusive. All right, so this is one that's coming from Abaddon. It's called The Meekest Man. Go and check it out.
Cloud descending.
And the meek shall inherit the earth. So I'm gonna speak for him first. And the meek shall inherit the earth. So I'm gonna speak to him first. Yeah. Plug on the track, yeah. Running your mouth against me. Yeah, yeah. Running your mouth against me. Yeah. The meek shall inherit the earth. So I'm gonna speak for him first. The meek shall inherit the earth. Oh, so I'm gonna speak for him first. Yeah. Looking from the sky, I see no cloudy view. Searching on the earth, I see no one like you. Ain't no other man so faithful and so true. Ain't no other one, yeah. So I don't wanna play games. You acting like you know me. 40 years, you gon' see this mountain. Keep walking around it. I don't know what you think that you was doing, talking to my servant Moses. He's the chosen, but he's still gonna pray for you still.
Cause he's the meekest.
And the meek shall inherit the earth. So I'm gonna speak for him first. And the meek shall inherit the earth. So I'm gonna speak for him first. Oh, you've been running your mouth against me. You've been running. Running
afraid to speak against Moses?
Hey, so if y'all didn't catch it, those were collages of the international work that's being done. This truth is going everywhere. It's going all over the earth. And all praise to the Most High. We are alive to see it. All right. So that has been Kingdom Music. Let's get back to the show. All praise to the Most High. Shalom.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's the dream team. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, there's the dream team.
Hey, shalom, shalom. Welcome back, Precept upon Precept. And we are back with the thumbnail. Those of you just joining us, we've got NATO's illusion of strength, but Russia prepares for war. You can see that's the NATO president of NATO. I forget his name. And then there's Vladimir Putin in the back. And you have that tank and destruction all around it. Leave the thumbnail up. We covered the newest new additions to NATO in the Baltic region, Finland 2023, this month 2024 for Sweden. They have a $2.7 billion base that we just covered before the break that they're building by 2030 in Romania. That will be the largest base in all of Europe for their NATO headquarters. So now we're going to go back to the show. All right. So, pull up number 7. Where you was at? We got a timestamp for you. All right.
Is a candidate for worst propaganda of the year. I probably won't win the day because we still got 9 months left. But here's something I thought was kind of funny. Sweden and Finland joined NATO's biggest military exercise in decades. From the BBC, there was a time when NATO would do its best to avoid direct mention of Russia when conducting its military maneuvers, not least for fear of provocation. But Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has changed all that. Now the alliance's drills have Moscow in mind. One of the key stated objectives of Exercise Steadfast Defender is to deter Russia. It's the alliance's largest since the end of the Cold War.
This is the largest. And we covered this action in another show. Almost 100,000 military personnel, the largest since the Cold War. And this is not even accounting for that they're building that base in Romania. So I'm showing you that Sweden, it's all a buildup. This is all a fundamental buildup to deter Russia. Play on, and then I have a timestamp, then we're going to go to Trump.
90,000 military personnel and taking place right across Europe's eastern flank over the next few months. Steadfast Defender is also the first test of NATO's new military plans designed to move troops and equipment at speed and scale to bolster any ally under attack. And it's an affirmation of the very purpose.
That is invoking Article 5. You attack Poland, you attack any of the 32 countries in NATO. Article 5 says all of the joint forces will defend that country. That's why they want to get Ukraine in, and that's Putin's last stand was it's the buck stops with Ukraine. You encroached after 1991. If you cross into Ukraine, then we attack. And Putin has held true to his word. Okay? Oh, yes. to 127.
That an attack on one would prompt a response from all. Donald Trump may have called that into question, BBC editorializing here, but America remains the backbone of that pledge and has committed huge resources to prove it. The first stage of the exercise is taking place in...
Pause. So now, he mentioned Donald Trump. This week, this was in the news. This week and last week. Those of last week, we had a rerun. We had some things in-house we had to handle, and for the administrative team, IT team. Now, pull up number 8. This is a short. Donald Trump is an American gangster. He is a businessman, and these politicians, he speaks like a Fortune 500 CEO. He's the CEO of America, the business. He's not playing. People can see that he's not playing, but politicians fear him because he don't need their money. He doesn't need their lobbyists. He does not need their $25,000 a plate lobbyist dinners. He doesn't need any of that. Watch what he says when he's being interviewed. This was this week. Go ahead and play that.
NATO has to treat the U.S. fairly, because if it's not for the United States, NATO literally doesn't even exist.
Pause. Rewind.
But they took it.
I want you to hear Donald say it again.
Now, NATO has to treat the U.S. fairly, because if it's not for the United States, NATO literally doesn't even exist. But they took advantage of us, like most countries do.
Okay, I mean, this is being used in Brussels as we've got to have a European defence force, even talk of Brussels having a nuclear weapon. Let's just try and get somewhere on this. If they start to pay their bills properly and the club is fair, are places like Poland defended? Will America be there?
Yeah, but the United States should pay its fair share, not everybody else's fair share.
No, fair enough.
I believe the United States was paying 90% of NATO, the cost of NATO. It could be 100%. It was the most unfair thing. And don't forget, it's more important to them than it is to us. We have an ocean in between.
Pause. This is biblical. Now, this is the separation between the 10 horns and the whore. Revelation 17. He's telling you this is the division of the house of Esau. He said, what do you mean? We're paying all the bills. We're over there. And it's not even as important as it is to them. This is going to be that separation. Read that. Revelation 17, start at verse 5 and then jump.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 5. And upon our forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the mother of harlots, and abominations of the earth.
So now read. Jump to verse number. Wait a minute, I just saw it. 16.
Verse 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast.
Go to 15. I'm sorry.
Verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sittest, and peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues.
America controls everything, and Donald Trump just proved it. He says if it wasn't for the U.S., NATO would not exist. Read on.
And the 10 horns.
That's talking about NATO, the European countries of NATO. Read on.
Which thou sawest upon the beast.
Why? Because they were on the beast. Why? They depend on the beast. Read on.
These shall hate the whore.
What would make NATO hate Babylon the Great? What would make that? Statements like that, showing you Donald Trump, God is going to use all of these pieces to create a war with the NATO. The 10 horns is going to hate the whore. When you hate somebody, what do? You go to war with them. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Hey, like he was saying, Cap, I mean, he's like, it benefits them more than it does us. I mean, we're way across the Atlantic. They trying to fight with Russia. The U.S. is trying – put the map up.
Exactly.
I want them to see it.
Put it up.
The United States over there is trying to fight Russia over there. And in between that is NATO. All of the countries in NATO is in between that. The United States can't go over there and help them. All they can do is send troops if they feel like it. But if Donald Trump is in play and he's like, look, y'all ain't pay y'all bill, we ain't sending y'all no troops.
You got to pay us.
You got to pay us. You got to pay.
What it is.
If you don't pay, you don't get protected.
If there's 30, before Finland and Sweden, there were 30 countries. If there's 30 countries in the budget that they had, and let's say the U.S. was paying 90%, let's say the budget was $100 billion. So the U.S. is paying $90 billion, and all the other 29 countries are only paying $10 billion. It shows you that now the businessman Donald Trump comes in, wait a minute, let's make America great again. This is not right. Because why did the 10 horns love the whore? Because she took care of them. As soon as she stops taking care of her, oh, wait a minute. You paid everything for us. You did this. Now you're not going to protect us. And then they're going to realize Russia wasn't that bad after all. I got my cheap oil. I got to go to the movies. I was buying cars. I was going out to dinner. Now I can't afford medicine. That's what's going on. There's recessions throughout Europeans. We didn't show up there. The Nord Stream pipeline, when they blew that decimated the European economy. And now Donald Trump saying, hold up, you got to step up. They're already hurt. Remember, we did the farmers protesting, right? The last 2 or 3 shows before. So now you're going to make all of these NATO countries pay billions of dollars into getting protection from the U.S. when they can barely afford to pay their bills and keep their farms open? Nah. The Most High is setting everything. We may see this in our lifetime. We may see World War III in our lifetime. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We may see it in our lifetime. Pull up the next one. The next Donald Trump one. Next Donald Trump. Should be number 8 or number 9.
This dude gonna win the presidential election without no backing.
Right. So now,
because he gave Negroes tennis shoes.
He got them Trump Force Ones out, I think. Now.
Damn. So it's only a 3-4 minute video. This is more of a extended version of that same interview, but I want us to see other things he says.
Is NATO.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking NATO every day. It was your comments about them not paying enough, not paying 2%. And you said this back in 2017 and 18 when you were president. You visited Brussels. You said it again recently. You made a comment, well, the Russians can do whatever they want if these guys don't pay. Well, that's now being used.
Well, they can use it. I don't really care if they use it because what I'm saying is that's a form of negotiation. Why should we guard these countries that have a lot of money? And the United States was paying for most of NATO. And when I went there, and I already had it out with them, and now they stopped paying again. But now they're paying because of those comments that you saw 2 or 3 weeks ago.
So when Trump was in office, he was getting them to pay. Smoking Joe Biden gets into office. The liberal left is soft. That's why they allow men to swim in girls' swimsuits and compete in sports and go in the locker room. They allow drag queens to go into elementary schools, but not the Israelites with the Bible. This country is become wax worse and worse and worse. And Donald Trump, not that we support Trump, is like he's making a statement, not even in the presidential seat, and now they are already starting to say, because they believe he's going to win. And now they're already starting to pay. Watch what he says.
I don't know if you know, but a lot of money's come in since those comments were made.
Yeah.
So NATO was not paying. And I said, well, the United States, they take advantage of the U.S. on trade like crazy, as bad as almost anybody. And then on top of it, the NATO were largely similar countries, the same countries. NATO, they weren't paying their bills. And I went to the first meeting and I saw that. I didn't want to do it my first meeting. I just got there. But I went to the first meeting early in my administration, and I saw what was going on, and I said, you're going to have to pay your bills, everybody. And the second meeting, I hit them hard, and the question was asked by the head of a major country in front of everyone else.
Real quick. So you got to imagine, the heads of all the state, you got the head of Germany, you got the head of Poland, Hungary, all 29 nations. When he did this, this was Finland and Sweden were not there. So there was at least 28 or 29 nations. They're all sitting around the table. Trump's there talking about you got to pay up. Now, one guy has the balls to stand up and ask the following question. Again, this is what's going to divide the great, the 10 horns from the great whore. Play.
Time, including us. They said, so if we don't pay our bills, are you going to protect us from Russia? I said, you mean you're delinquent? You're not paying the bills? Yes. Nope, I'm not going to pay you. We're not going to do it. We're not going to defend you. If you're not paying your bills, we're not going to defend you. It's very simple. And hundreds of billions of dollars came flowing in.
He's not bullshitting. So they were not paying hundreds of billions of dollars in fees. So you can see why the 10 horns loved the great whore. They're protecting us for free. We ain't got to give them nothing. Now here comes Trump. Hey, I'm America. I love America. America's great. You're not great. Pay up. Now you can see where the hatred's forming. Now they're not the big brother that's going to protect us for free. That's why I said, is this the man that did wicked nations in Isaiah 14? Let's get Isaiah 14 real quick.
Cap, this is oddly reminiscent of the mafia.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
You know what I'm
thing.
saying? That's mafia talk. Like, look, I got you covered. You know what I'm saying? Just pay your dues. You don't pay your dues, I'm gonna let your enemies come in and mess over you. Like, that's some gangster stuff, boy.
Trump is a true businessman, and that's why the Most High is going to use Donald Trump for some great end times prophecies. Read Isaiah 14, start at verse 7.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet.
Why? Read on.
They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come against us.
World peace, forests is a heal, the earth will heal. Read on.
Hail from beneath is moved from thee to meet thee at thy coming.
Watch this.
It stirred up the dead from thee, even all the chief ones of the earth.
Even all the chief ones, those are the presidents, the chancellors, the secretaries of state. Read on.
It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
The kings of the nations. Watch this.
All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we?
So there was one point where they were not seen as weak as they were seen as the king of the earth. Don't mess with America. There's going to come a time when America is going to be looked at as, you're like us now. And how is that going to happen? When the EU and NATO realize that America is the problem. Trump's going to get in office. And I'm predicting this. Trump's going to get in office. If they don't kill him first, he's going to make them pay their bills. They're going to realize that we don't need America. Russia is more of a friend to them. And they're all going to turn and they're going to attack Babylon the Great. And while that happens, most are going to, of course, Armageddon in the valley of Jehoshaphat, when you read in Joel, most are going to bring all of that to fruition, all for the Israelites. So you're literally, today this happened, today about the base that they're building in Romania. This is literally happening this month and this year, and Trump is 2024 for the president. You are living at a time when prophecy is unfolding week by week, month by month. Pay attention, y'all, all right? Play on. Almost done.
Say, yes, I am. They're not going to pay their bills. Why would they do that? Obama would go make a speech. Bush would go make a speech. And frankly, my biggest fan, I don't know if that's still true, I would hope so, the Secretary General,
Mr.
Stoltenberg, was, he couldn't believe it. He said, I can't believe it. He got people to pay up hundreds of billions of dollars, and NATO became strong because of me. Now, NATO has to treat the U.S. fairly, because if it's not for the United States, NATO literally doesn't even.
Right, and that's what we had played before. I wanted you to see the beginning of that. So Trump is not playing. He went and set order before. The liberal left with Joe Biden, all the loosey-goosey policies. Trump is 2024. He makes a statement not even in his seat, and already they're starting to pay. Why? Because they watch global politics. They watch across the pond. They know Trump is up in the polls, and they know they better get right before the real American, if you will, the one that represents America. I sound like a Trump guy. I'm not. He's a devil, but he's a devil that's funny. So we like listening to him. Go to the next article. 10 more minutes. We go to live back attack.
Hey, he's a necessary devil.
Yes.
He's a necessary devil. He one of the ones that he's not gonna hide his racism. He's not gonna hide his feelings. See, everybody looking at Bush and Biden and Clinton and all of them like, oh, we like them. They still racist. They just hide it. He don't hide it. He let you know right off the rap.
And what Trump's doing, he's doing what Biden's not. He's holding people accountable.
Right.
That's what a lot of these Americans, these liberal Americans, they don't like that. They like to do what they want when they want. Trump like, nah, he like, what was it? Big Daddy Kane. He like, he with my money.
Right. So look, now we're gonna go to Mr. Scott Ritter. He was a former Marine. I think he was a Marine colonel, and him and our boy, my man Douglas McGregor. I want to hear from these two guys, and then we're gonna get ready to close out to Larby. I timestamped 10 at 7:49 to 10:48. Now let's talk about China, Russia, and China, and can NATO even fight and think of winning a war with Russia? Play.
You remember when Joe Biden met with Vladimir Putin back in June of 2021 in Geneva in the lead up to this whole special military operation, trying to talk, and then his press conference afterwards, well, I shouldn't talk, but I'll talk about it anyways. I told Putin, man, you don't want to do this. That China's big and they're going to take over your economy and you need to come over to us. You need to break apart. And, I'm just sitting there going, didn't the CIA brief you on anything, boss? I mean, why would you say something so utterly stupid? I mean, I know, but
this is Joe Biden, who met in 2021 with Putin. He's trying to school him on the fear that China is going to infiltrate and take over Russia. But what he doesn't understand is the history between China and Russia and their alliance and their strength between the leaders. And Scott Ritter is just like, we have the most ignorant political officials. And he's like, why didn't you listen to the CIA? The CIA is not doing their job. So he's making a shot at Joe Biden, but then he's going to go into some heavy stuff. Play on.
Watching Russian news that Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping actually like each other. They actually attend each other's birthday celebrations. They make pancakes together. They have real conversations, human to human conversations. It's not superficial like the kind of crap you pull on them. And if you think that your little statement there in Geneva was going to suddenly make Vladimir Putin go, oh, bang, damn, I should have had a V8.
Pause real quick. I want you to remember something, because later on, the Chinese Minister of Defense makes a statement about a war between NATO and Russia. Very interesting. This just happened, I believe it was this week. And Scott Ritter's building up to this. A lot of American citizens believe that America is invincible. And, he's going to inform us. Play on.
You're right. Hey, Lavrov, terminate everything with China. We ain't doing it now. No. I'm going over to America because Joe Biden showed me the light. It's just stupid. It shows a lack of sophistication, a lack of comprehension, a lack of understanding. No one even considers the fact that, let's say you're the Chinese. You're looking at how the West is posturing against Russia going, if you remove the word Ukraine and put the word Taiwan, that's the same thing they're doing to us.
Now,
and if we let them,
we've done shows on that, because what's going on is the U.S. is arming the mindset of Taiwan being its own democracy, its own state, where it was always part of China. And China's like, wait a minute, if they would do that with Ukraine, which is literally shares a border with Russia, they want to do that with Taiwan. And we covered before, Taiwan is the largest producer of microchips on the entire planet Earth, on the island of Taiwan. So watch what he's about to drop some jewels about the relationship between China and Russia, which, by the way, share a border, as we all know. Play on.
Away with it with Russia, they're going to turn around and try to do it with us. So the place to stop the West right now is Ukraine. And China has finally come to the realization. I mean, their new defense minister came out and said, we're with Russia all the way on Ukraine. There's no daylight. We're,
now,
because
Before China took a position, they tried to be politically correct, and they would say, what's wrong what happens in Ukraine, democracy. Their new Minister of Defense is saying, look, if there's a war with NATO, China is going to effectively back Russia. This is huge. And they're not going to give this guy a national platform. This guy's smart, along with Douglas. These guys are former Army officers. These guys don't have agendas. These guys are just telling what they see, and they're never going to have someone like this come on. He should be advising. He should be advising the president. Okay, play on.
They were like, we like the Russians and everything, but Ukraine, Westphalian principles, we can't, we don't. Not anymore. China went, we're with Russia 100% on Ukraine, 100%. There's no daylight, because they recognize, finally, China realizes that what the West tried to do to Russia through Ukraine is exactly what they're trying to do to China through Taiwan. And again, the CIA's job is to know this. The CIA's job is not, your job as an intelligence officer is never to tell your boss what they want to hear. That's not your job at all. That's what a PR person does.
Hey, and that's why when you think about those of us understand IUIC, we're not to be yes men, and that's what's going on. Joe Biden has a bunch of yes men around him. Instead of telling them the nuances and the history of Russia, he's making such stupid ass statements that all the political leaders are like, this guy don't know that Putin and the president of China have a long-standing personal and professional relationship. They don't understand that. They share a border. They want to protect their countries. They want to increase their economies. And the U.S. is playing that. That's why it's an illusion. The thumbnail, NATO is an illusion, okay? We're going to get a little bit more into this before we end the show. Read on, play on.
Campaign manager. Job as the intelligence officer is to put the harsh truth on the table. Say, these are the facts. Now you do with them as you wish. You shape policy around the facts, but the facts are the facts. I can't sit here and tell you something that isn't backed up by reality. I'm here to give you reality, and the reality is Russia and China, they're like this, man. They complete each other.
So why is that so important? I want you to pull up a map of Russia. Why is it so important? This is why they attacked that BS in Kazakhstan with the swiftness. Pull up a map of Russia, because when you look at Russia, the Kazakhstan is a huge border, but look at China in proximation to Russia. What a world map. I mean, come on, man. All right. Can we move on to the next one, or can you do that at the same time? Okay, there we go. All right. So now, when we look, a huge border is Kazakhstan. Mongolia is another large border. China's got two borders, mainly the eastern and then also right between Kazakhstan. But the position of China to Russia is very important, because guess what? If there's a nuclear war, China has a vested interest to protect that general landmass, right? And when you go into the shows we've done on BRICS, you've got Russia, China, India, and then you've also got it was Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and other. Those are all now Iran and Saudi Arabia. Those are all in the BRICS. In South Africa, very good. So they have an interest to protect this part of Asia. All right? So just think about that. And this is why the statement that Donald Trump made is true. And the Europeans are supposed to be picking up on this. Hold up. Why are we allowing the U.S. to decide our fate when they are across the ocean? They blew up the North. The European people know that the U.S. blew up, the CIA blew up the pipeline. It destroyed the quality of life for them. So that's why they were protesting, NATO gotta go, by the hundreds of thousands before the Ukraine war. This is all the brewing of World War III. It's been happening right before our eyes. It's just that the American Caucasian syndicated news, does not want you to see everything that's going on. That's why you see a very little bit about the farmers' protests throughout the entire continent of Europe. But we had to show you. Why? Because you're not going to get your news anywhere. You brothers and sisters have to look at outside news sources to find out what's going on throughout the earth, all right? Is it 10 or 11? 11. We're almost done, y'all. So this is my man. Former Colonel Douglas McGregor. He's a U.S. Army. I think he was a lieutenant colonel. This guy, like Scott Ritter, this guy knows geopolitics, and he gives us a very interesting insight about the war.
There's no stomach for it. The populations in Europe are beginning to slowly but surely wake up.
I'm sorry. I want you to start at 420, because I want them to hear what he first says.
Try and bluff your way through one. And that's what everybody in the West is busy doing. We've run out of ammunition, out of equipment. We don't have enough trained troops. There's no stomach for it. The populations in Europe are beginning to slowly but surely wake up to reality that Russia poses no threat to them.
Pause. The populations in Europe are beginning to slowly but surely realize that Russia poses no threat to the European people. That's why they were all protesting NATO in Italy, in Greece, in Germany, in Belgium, in Spain, because the people understand that Russia was better living. The cost of living was lower. The U.S., which leads NATO, forces policies, and if they want to get the money, remember Trump said it early, they were paying mostly the bills. They have to listen to the U.S. Now Trump's like, hold up. You got to pay to play. You got to pay for protection. Wait a minute. So you were protecting us for free before. Now we got to pay? Do we really need you? Do y'all see what's going on here? The Lord is doing all this, man. The Most High doing all this. All right? Play on.
In Europe are beginning to slowly but surely wake up to reality that Russia poses no threat to them. So again, this is all an illusion. Now, as far as Odessa is concerned, it was made pretty clear from the outset of this crisis and conflict that the Russians would move on those areas that historically were Russian and contained Russian speakers. Odessa was never part of Ukraine, just as Crimea was never a part of Ukraine. And the eastern portions in the Donetsk Basin.
So real quick, this is a little bit corny editing they're doing, but what he's saying is the only reason why Russia had beef with Ukraine is, like Officer Matt said at the beginning of the show, it's because the territories that they are fighting over were Russian occupied. They speak the Russian language there. They were a part of the Soviet Union. They have Russian ties, and there was issues with that where the Ukraine was actually they were doing things and not allowing them to speak Russian and do certain things, and now they want those areas back. And they're not even imposing, they're not trying to take over Poland and other countries. They're just dealing with the parts that were former Russian territories. And what McGregor's like, so what Putin's asking for is nothing. It's peanuts. He's being super reasonable, showing you that the ulterior motive always was NATO was to disrupt Russia, to destroy them from a distance. That's what the goal always was, to remain the top world power. European people realize, wait a minute, you protected us for free. Now you're going to make us pay. You're over there setting policies. You blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, and our way of life is getting worse, and now you want more money? No. Now what's going to happen is even the elected officials, these presidents of the European Union, they're going to realize what the people already know. And it's going to come down to that. Play on. We almost done.
Russian speakers and Russian people. All of this is nonsense. The Russian leadership has said when this is over, Kharkov, which is another historic Russian city, along with Odessa, will be Russian again. There's nothing new in that. If we try to move against the Russians and cross the border, either from Moldova or Romania or Poland, in an effort to stop the Russian seizure of Odessa, we will be at war with Russia, because the Russians have also made it very clear they won't tolerate it.
They will not tolerate a NATO presence in Western Ukraine. We're back to the original requirement.
Yeah, because that's what started the war in the first place, is the NATO in Ukraine.
Exactly. So if they go in there, they'll be at war with Russia. Russia's prepared for that. The general staff in Moscow has already been instructed to look at another 800,000 troops that could be mobilized for the purpose of waging wider war if required. This is not something the Russians want. Moscow doesn't want it.
Israel, we wanted to show you that NATO has the illusion, with the addition of Finland and Sweden and the Baltic area, that they have things on lock. The illusion is they're building a base in Romania that is bigger than any base in all of Europe, to have 10,000 resident troops with their families, a whole city being built. And all that being said, they're not ready for a war with Russia. You pull Finland up, now that border Russia's going to secure. So is it with that? Stick around, watch the news, watch other sources other than go outside to like Al Jazeera, other East Indian stations, Russian stations, watch Eastern European stations, to Australian stations, to find out what's going on in Europe. Find out what's going on with NATO, because the Most High is behind the scenes causing men to do all these things. So, and then this year, 2024, with the election, look what everything is going on with this election year. Biden, Trump, we're headed for some major prophetic times coming up. So stick around, y'all. Shalom.
Yeah, you can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it. Yeah, you can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Shalom Israel. Hey, Messiah Christ bless, Lar back attack. I met with some brothers last Sabbath and we talked, and it's never a personal attack on anybody when we talk about medical disorders in our community. It's an attempt to curb a disease that starts in the mind. So if you are someone that is obese or overweight, it is indicative of the fact that you learn this from your enemy's way of life. It's time to repent and change your ways. All right, so Malcolm X says something heavy. It's a little bit unrelated, but I'm going to parallel it to what I mean. I timestamped it, didn't I? It's quick, like 30 seconds. I love Malcolm X. I love his oration. The brother was ahead of his time, and at the end of his life, he knew we the Israelites. Play.
Instead of trying to change the white man in your mind and make you accept us, we change the mind of the black man and make him accept himself.
Stop. He said, we changed the mind of the black man to make him accept himself. So if you put it in context to what I'm about to go into, if you change the mind of the Israelite and make him accept himself, what is the difference between a black man and an Israelite? The black man is lawless. The black man does not live by God code. The black man doesn't understand his place, his history, doesn't understand his culture. The Israelite man understands his culture. So if you're an Israelite man and you accept your culture, you're going to go by his laws. This is very important. Play on.
As soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problem. He won't be trying to force himself into your...
He says as soon as he accepts himself, he'll solve his own problems. The reason why you brothers who are morbidly obese and overweight, the reason why you can't solve your own problem, because you have not accepted yourself as an Israelite fully. You have not been converted. You have the things that are going to fix you. You just don't do them. And we're all guilty of to a certain extent. I'm not saying that I'm any better, but when it comes to health and things you can control, you've got the keys. Play on.
And into your bedroom and into your kitchen.
And you heard that? And he said that, and for this is appropriate, he says, you're going to stop going into their stores. You're going to stop going into their bedrooms, meaning sleeping with the enemy, and stop going into their kitchen, meaning we don't have to go and support their businesses, but it's also what we eat in those places that we go to. It's very heavy. So let's let Becky tell us. And when I mean Becky, I mean a joke, a white woman, but there's a woman named Becky. She's Dr. Becky, and she's going to tell you. So let's let the white woman tell us. It's a short video about how should we eat. She's going to give you some biblical principles. It's called 1 Meal a Day Healthy Keto. Let Becky tell us.
Your body in a hormonal state that favors fat burning. Intermittent fasting also puts your body in a hormonal state that favors fat burning. When you combine the two, you give body fat a 1-2 punch that accelerates your results. In this video, I explain how it works. We used to think that weight loss was a simple matter of mathematics, meaning as long as you burned more calories than you took in, you would lose weight. And while calories matter, this calorie in, calorie out model of weight loss overlooked a very important player: insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is secreted into your bloodstream.
Pause real quick. See, and this is not the white man's way. And this is why a lot of these holistic doctors, they do not get national airplay. They say that some of them are quacks. They're too eccentric because they go against the norm. Babylon teaches you 3 times a day, snacks and dessert. Here comes someone that's telling you 1 meal a day and cut the carbs. And she's going to break it down how it affects your body. Okay? Play.
Your cells, particularly the ones in your liver, muscles, and fat, what to do with the nutrients that came out of the foods that you just ate. Specifically, insulin tells those cells to take in the glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids and either burn them for energy or store them for later use. When it comes to managing your weight, the storage that you are most concerned with is the storage of fat. Insulin plays a big role in this process because when insulin is high, it stimulates the action of an enzyme inside your fat cell.
This is one of the biggest problems that we could, I'm telling you right now, 95% of the health problems we could fix right now if all of you lard asses would stop eating 3 to 4 times a day. Every time you eat, even if it's a potato, a rice cake, anything that has carbs, you spike your insulin. If you want to get rid of disease in your body, you want to get rid of into fat and get into fat burning, you got to limit the time, eat less frequently, less insulin spikes. Insulin resistance forms pre-diabetes and diabetes too. You want to be insulin sensitive. How do you do that? Stop eating so damn frequently, man. Now, let me pull the scripture. Give me Sirach 30, verse 15 and 16. This is extremely important. I'm going to keep talking about the same thing. Shout out to all the brothers in IUIC who are losing the weight and changing their lives, and they're doing just what they're doing 1 meal a day. They're cutting processed foods, they cut carbs, and they cut sugars, and they're eating a lot of whole food plants from the ground, and they're eating grass-fed meat, fish, stuff like that, and they're getting healthy, and as a result of getting healthy and fixing their insulin, they're losing weight and getting many other benefits. So the answers are all here for you. And that, like Malcolm said, because you will not accept yourself for who you are, therefore you can't fix yourself. A lot of you like the fact you don't eat pork no more, but you don't follow all the other scriptures that precept you to the right way to get healthy. You refuse to do it. Even though God sends people to help you, you refuse to do it. I'll read.
Sirach chapter 30, verse 15. Health and good estate of body are above all gold.
Right, that's excellent. Give me Sirach 31. I want eat moderation.
Yes, sir. Sirach chapter 31, verse 16. Eat as it becometh a man, those things which are set before thee, and devour not.
Now, that goes down to you control what your kitchen is. Whether you go out to eat, whether you have your wife prepare or you prepare it. You control the things in the kitchen. As an Israelite, you know that the Lord made his medicine out of the ground. So when you make your decision to order food, cook food, or have your wife cook food, you go to those precepts. Very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured. Okay? Sound sleep cometh to moderate eating. The Lord made his medicines from the ground. So then if you know these things and you have not accepted yourself, like Malcolm X said. Read on.
Lest thou be hated, Leave off first for manners' sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend.
Where's the part it says very little is sufficient?
Verse 19.
Thank
a
you.
very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured.
I want you to remember, I'm going to go back to what Dr. Becky, the white woman, said. She tells you that the hormone insulin is the main factor. Very little is sufficient, meaning you don't need to eat so friggin' frequently, man. This is the problem. If all of us would stop eating now, go to your doctor first. I can hear it now. My doctor says maybe 4 times a day. Then you follow your damn doctor and stay a balloon gut, fat back, walrus, lard ass. The point is this you can fix yourself. And I want the white woman to tell you, because even though I might be bright skinned, I'm a nigga still. But if she tells you, maybe you'll believe her. Go back to the white woman.
Is the storage of fat. Insulin plays a big role in this process because when insulin is high, it stimulates the action of an enzyme inside your fat cells called lipoprotein lipase. It is this enzyme that allows fatty acids to come inside your fat cell and get converted into the stored form of fat called triglycerides. So the storage of fat is put in high gear when insulin is high. Therefore, it makes sense.
You hear what she said? The storage of fat is high when your insulin is high, meaning the more frequently you eat, the more fat you're going to store. It's just that simple. So how do you solve the problem if you're a fat lard ass? Simple. Eat less frequently, cut the carbs and sugars, and watch what happens to you. Again, she got a PhD. I don't. Pray on.
In a way that does not spike insulin, and that can be accomplished by making smart food choices. There are 3 nutrients that provide the majority of calories in your diet. Those energy-rich nutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates cause the most significant spike in insulin.
Stop. Carbohydrates cause, we can make this real simple. If you're eating 4 to 6 times a day, and the most of the food you're eating are carbs, by default, you're going to store a lot of fat because your insulin is not sensitive anymore. It's resistant. By cutting the carbs, eating more moderate protein and higher healthy fats, and eating less frequently, your insulin is sensitive. That means you don't store fat anymore, lard ass. I can't stress that. Everybody in IUIC, we all could fix ourselves. This year, 9 out of 10 people that are overweight and obese could fix themselves this year. The ones that are 150 pounds or more maybe take a year and maybe 3 months. Yeah, right, fat Mark. Okay, you playing games. You know what I'm talking about. Play on.
Causes a modest rise, and fat causes little or no increase. So, if we are eating for insulin control, it makes sense to eat a low-carb, high-fat, moderate protein diet. Yet while
that goes against everything that the American food pyramid teaches you. Well, what is the results? What is the culmination and manifestation of America's food pyramid? 1 in 2 black adults is obese as of 2022. This is the fattest country, the most unhealthy country, yet is the most powerful country. So guess what? America's way of eating doesn't work for us as the Israelites. So eat less frequently, according to Sirach 31 and 19. Eat more things that are from the ground. No more packaged foods, no more processed foods, no more sugars. Eat healthy fats, like avocado is a healthy fat. A macadamia nut is a healthy fat, okay? And cut the carbs and the sugary foods, and you will get healthy. It's simple as that. It's like if you're a doctor, right? Which I'm not a doctor, but I have the cure. I got the cure. Just take this and just do this, and you're going to heal yourself. It will heal you because you're taking the biblical principles, you're going to apply it. But yet you get talked to 3 years, 4 years, and then you had a heart attack. Then you got blood pressure medication, and you're so damn ignorant that you refuse when counsel comes your way. I'm telling you, the Lord is going to judge you, man. I'm telling you. You got to fix your stuff. And if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. Because a lot of you start with 1 or you do 2 weeks and you fall off. You have to treat it like life or death. You have been disordered. You have forgotten, you have not accepted yourself as an Israelite. The tools are here. There's doctors like this. If you feel better, you don't want to hear from me, find the nicest, loveliest sounding white people like her. She sounds very wonderful. And follow her. Fine, I don't care. Just do the principles. Play on. Almost done.
To go up, carbs are created equal. Those with fiber and nutrients, like non-starchy vegetables, will cause a much slower and lower rise in insulin than a carbohydrate that has been ground up and refined. That
What
refining
she's saying is this. If you have vegetables like arugula, kale, and other vegetables, they do have carbohydrates, but the fiber, it negates some. That's why they call a cup of arugula has, say, 1 carb, because the fiber negated and cut the value of the carb. That's why you got to eat low carb with a lot of vegetables. It's just the kid works, man. I'm going to keep saying to my blue in the face. Play on. We're almost done with this.
allows the carb to get absorbed into your bloodstream quickly, which results in a spike of insulin. And this explains why refined carbs and fats don't mix, and therefore why a cheeseburger on a bun or a sausage pizza are such fattening meals. The refined bun and pizza crust spike insulin, which makes the enzymes in your fat cell actively pull fatty acids into storage.
Pause. I gotta say this directly. Put both camera on me. Stop eating all the friggin' carbs. Start eating very infrequently. Limit yourself. Try 2, then go to 1 time a day. Cut all the processed crap that wasn't here 150 years ago. Eat the stuff that grows from the ground. If you're gonna have a burger, have the burger with no bread. Do that. Watch what the hell happens to you. You're gonna get healthy. Cut. This is bullshit. You're following America. You're trusting the ways of your enemy. And a lot of you, and it's not just me, many of us have been talking to you for years. It goes in one ear and out the other. And it's not like, okay, you could get a PhD, or hey, I could get my boss to be nice to me at work. Maybe you can't control that, but you can control what goes in your mouth. And the fact that you don't is rebellion. Not against the Most High, because you can fix yourself. You can fix yourself. Now, all the serious side out the way, I'm got a couple videos, and we're going to close out. Give me Joe Rogan. Let's hear from the white man. See, even the white man is going to tell you something. Wait, one sec. Sarah, don't do that. Let the white man tell it. Come on.
Shaming works. My friend Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer, they did this thing last year, 2 years ago, where they had a weight loss competition. And one of the things they kept doing is fat shaming each other, like ruthlessly. And they would use hashtag Bert is fat, hashtag Tom is fat. And they had this
pause real quick. And that's what and somebody might not agree, I am the master fat shamer. We have a fat back chat where every single day and every week they have weekly weigh-ins where they get cussed out. I call them fat back, walrus gutted, beluga gut, whale lard asses. And guess what? They don't like that, and it propels them to push themselves because they were never supposed to be morbidly obese lard ass. And the white man's telling Joe Rogan, the most popular podcast guy in all the world, is telling you fat shaming is good. Why? Because we're the best. God says we're better than all nations. You tell me that when we was walking around during the time of the Maccabees, there's a bunch of fat back lard asses walking around? You're trying to tell me that the brothers that rode with Christ were big fat barrel-gutted fat back lard asses? Maybe so. I can't prove that they were or were not, but I don't think they were, because they didn't eat friggin' 7 times a day with processed carbohydrates. They didn't have the problems that we have today in this first-rate country called Babylon the Great, where vittles are cheap. Play.
Hashtag Tom is fat, and they had this weight loss competition, and they fucking both lost a shitload of weight. I think they both lost between 50 and 60 pounds. Yeah. Wow. And they looked fucking incredible, but then after it was over, Tom was like, dude, let me tell you something. It works.
So fat shaming works, but you have to believe that you should be ashamed to be that weight. Why? Because God says that you're better than everybody else. So as the Israelites, like Malcolm said, when you accept who you are, you can then solve your own problems. And that's why I'm going to keep talking about it over and over again. You brothers who want help, number one, you got to get a doctor's note. Number 2, you got to go on a probationary period, and you have to apply. If you do it, I'll give a shout out to his brother in D.C. I'm not going to say his name. Soldier has lost 115 pounds in a little over 6 months. He looks like a completely different guy. He feels much, much better. Everything about him has changed just because he's applying just what that doctor said, which is all biblical. If you do that, all of you, not some of you, not the ones, well, my doctor says I have a thyroid problem. All of you can fix your problem. And I really want to see all of us fix our problem, because you're going to have more blood pressure medications. You're going to have more issues with heart attacks and coronary disease. You're going to have problems with strokes. You're going to have a problem with diabetes too, where they have to begin to amputate your fingers and your legs and all that. That's going to happen to a lot of you. All because you're not following the traditions of our fathers, which is the book of our fathers, which is the commandments of God, and all the precepts that tell you where to go. It's a lot more than thou shalt not eat the swine. There's so many other things that have been taught since 2003 when Bishop Nathaniel formed IUIC. He's been teaching that since day one. So why do we have a fat problem? Because you Israelites, you did not accept who you are. With that, I'm Captain Shem, Lord back attack. I know that stung some of you out there. Most High Grace bless.
Yeah, you can tell by my gait that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it.
Hey, Israel, go ahead, take your phones out, scan the QR code. Let us know how we doing. Hey, look, help the IT team get better. Once again, this is your show, so tell us. Scan the QR code, let us know how we doing, y'all. Hey, give alms. Help us out. After you scan the QR code, donate. Let us get some better equipment. Hey, look, you can also donate at your local school, either via PayPal or by dropping it in the envelope putting it in an envelope, dropping it in the arms box if you old school. Look, if you want to donate to Precept Upon Precept, you can do so via PayPal at IUIC.NewOrleans@IsraelUnite.org. Also, make sure y'all donate to the Booster Club. Y'all saw Kingdom Music earlier. Y'all saw all the clips of the different international work that is funded by that IUIC.fundraising at IsraelUnite.org. That is done via the Booster Club, y'all. Look, also, if y'all tired of having your Passover interrupted, people calling in saying there's terrorists in the building, you got curfews, donate to the Land Fund. You can donate to the Land Fund via PayPal at IsraelUnite.org. Make sure you label it land.
All right, Shalom Israel, we're getting ready to wrap up. And by the way, these QR codes are very important because, be honest, like, for example, I was listening on the break, I was listening to the show, and I gave a rating of just now, there's things that we need to improve on. So tell the truth when you do this viewer experience survey. When you finish, it should say viewer experience survey complete. When you're done, I don't know if you can see that, but make sure you do that. On all the radio shows, all the classes, give honest input. This way we can understand what's going on, because that information, that data is gathered and compiled and then used to help, all right? We're trying to get better and better. So with that, we're Precept Upon Precept. We're pretty much on time. If you want to, oh, by the way, subscribe to our YouTube page, Instagram, Twitter, like, share, hit the bell notification, and make sure you share our content. We are slowly growing to 30,000, trying the best we can, and we are a work in progress. So with that, we're Precept Upon Precept, and we say
Shalom.
Judah blood. I see. Look, I see matches in the kingdom. I see hunters slaying demons. I see fire on this earth coming down like Hiroshima. I see prophets rising up, prophesying scriptures cut. I see Christ, he coming